Once you create an Aura component, on the right hand side, you will notice that there are 8 files that makes one single Aura component. We have already seen the component file, which we also call the markup file, where your UI markup will go, like your HTML components or your out of the box Aura components, they will all go in this file. Now there is a controller file, which is a JavaScript file that handles all the events generated from this markup file. For example, let's say you have a button and on click of that button, you want something to happen. So this will be your file where you will handle all those events. And only your controller file can handle the events generated from the markup file. You cannot handle them in any other files that are present in an Aura component. Now the third file is the helper file, which is again a JavaScript file similar to controller, but a helper file is responsible for the reusable code. For example, let's say you have a function to sort the array, right? Now this function can be reused by multiple other functions. So you will write the sort array function inside the helper, and then you can call it from your controller file as well and from your helper file as well. The other example is to show a notification on the UI, and there can be multiple situations where you want to show this notification, right? So this particular piece of code will be reusable, and it's better to write that inside the helper file. Now the fourth file is the style file, and this is a CSS file. CSS stands for the cascading style sheet, which is used to stylize your markup. For example, let's say you have a button in your markup file, but now you want to change the look and feel of that button. So you will use the CSS file to stylize your markup. The fifth file is the documentation file, and this file is used to generate the documentation for your component. Now the sixth file is the rendered file. Again, this is a JavaScript file similar to the controller file and the helper file. And this is used to handle the rendering mechanism of your component. Like what piece of code should execute when your component is rendered, or what piece of code should execute when your component re-renders. This was a very helpful file when Aura component was new, that means back in 2014 or 15. But later we have got some events and you can handle this rendering mechanism within the controller file itself. So nowadays we don't use this rendered file as much as we used to do few years back. The seventh file is the design file, and this file is very helpful when you want to give some flexibility to your Salesforce admins to configure your Lightning component. Like here I have this flow standard component, and once you edit inside an app builder page, on the right hand side you get some options like what do you want to name your flow and the layout option, right? So you can give similar flexibility inside your custom component as well using this design file. The last file is the SVG file, and this is responsible to have custom icons in your component. So you can have your own SVG to create some icons, and then you can use them inside your markup as well. So this was all about all these 8 files that makes one single Aura component. So all of these files talk to each other and they generate single output. The most common used file are the component file, the controller file, the helper file, and the style file.